And we go. So 3 taps. Right on.
Okay, hey, so say your name and, yeah.
My name's John Fernandes.
What bands are you in currently?
I play with Jacob Morris and Dreamboat and Old Smoky and Circulatory System. Did a lot of touring with Olivia Tremor Control last year. Play lots of other things too. This last weekend I recorded with this guy that was hitchhiking through town called 20,000 Strong Man. And Blue Division I play with sometimes.
Cool. So where are you originally from?
Well, I was born in Iowa, and I grew up in Louisiana, and I moved to Athens in '95 when my friends Bill and Will from Louisiana asked me to play bass with their group, the Olivia Tremor Control.
Cool. So that's why you moved to Athens?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your favorite part of the city?
I like the music scene. I work at Wuxtry Records downtown and meet a lot of people that are coming through town that like good music, and there's just a really good scene going on here. There's always something to check out. I like a lot of the bands in town like Bubbly Mommy Gun and Quiet Hooves and Dream Scene, that whole crowd, and there's a lot of people doing really interesting things.
So what has changed about the scene in the city since you've moved here?
When I first moved here, I moved here when I was 19, and I spent 2 years really only hanging out with Bill and Will and practicing with them, and then working a lot of jobs. I was too young to go to bars. I really didn't start drinking until I was probably about 28. And so I really didn't know anybody for the first 2 years I lived here. I just practiced with Bill and Will, worked jobs, and went home and listened to music and stuff. It wasn't until we met the Elf Power crowd that started meeting a lot more people in town. They were doing a lot of 4-track stuff like the Olivia Tremor Control was doing, and we connected over music, and they had a whole network of friends here as well, so through them started meeting a lot of other people.
What are all the instruments that you play?
I play bass guitar, violin, bass clarinet, sometimes saxophone, and sing some vocals sometimes.
Awesome. So what do you think it is about Athens that has made this scene or your bands successful or not successful, or like thrive?
It's a real supportive scene. There's a lot of good places to play, and it seems like a lot of people appreciate what other people are doing. There's not a lot of competition or backstabbing or anything like that that I've kind of seen in other places. Even the older bands seem supportive of newer things. One of the bands I play with, Supercluster, B-52s, asked us to open up for them on a tour recently. And Olivia Tremor Control opened for REM one time. And it seems like when we do shows, we try to also get newer bands to open for us, and it seems like there's a lot of mutual support going on.
Cool. So do you plan on staying in Athens forever?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your least favorite part about Athens?
I don't know. There's not really too much negative to say about Athens. It seems like it's a pretty nice place to live. There's a lot of cool things to do, and most people are really nice.
What are your favorite local bands, like right now and from like the past?
I've always liked Pylon, and R.E.M's great, and Vic Chestnut is great. I really like that Squalls song, Strolling Bones. That's a good song. They're a good band too. And a lot of newer things. I like Dream Scene a lot. And I don't know, there's so much good stuff going on around that Secret Squirrel scene. They put on good shows at the farm and stuff where there's lots of great combinations happening, interesting things. I like the Burt Bacharach cover set that they did at the farm the other night.
Do you have any like crazy or funny stories that are kind of like exclusive to Athens or?
Well, trying to think. I don't know. I can't think of anything that
It's okay.
just pops out right away.
Yeah, I know. That's like a weird question to ask. Just thought I would.
That's maybe one to be screened before the actual.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Have some funny stories in mind, but never show up.
Be funny.
She's at Letterman or
else?
something.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Or not Letterman.
Could be.
What else should we ask?
What is like what's the best show you've played in Athens, or one of the best? One of the ones that stood out.
Memorable.
One of the shows that stood out would have to be when Olivia Tremor Control played out at Orange Twin when we did some shows in 2005 or 2006. Just a great experience being out in the woods, and Tall Dwarves played, also one of my favorite New Zealand bands. And yeah, probably that Orange Twin show is one of my favorites.
What's Orange Twin for people who don't know what it is?
Yeah.
That's a land organization outside of town where a lot of people bought in to protect a large tract of land and are going to do clustered housing out there at some point. And there's an amphitheater where a lot of good bands have played. Vic Chestnut played out there. Bonnie Prince Billy played out there.
So like, what does Orange Twin do for bands besides like as a venue?
They're a label as well.
Oh.
And they've put out some really good records, like the Sybil Bear record. She was a folk singer in the 60s and recorded all this stuff but never released it. And on an Elf Power tour, we stayed with Jay Massis from Dinosaur Jr. And he, his friend that repairs his amps is Sybil Bear's son, and so he, for her birthday, had transferred a lot of her reel-to-reel recordings onto CD and gave them to Jay, and he gave them to Andrew, and Andrew was like, we should put this out. So that's some really beautiful stuff. They also put out the Elise record and some other interesting stuff. I also run a record label called Cloud Recordings. I started it in 2001 to put out the first Circulatory System album. And since then we've put out maybe 19 releases. Everything from the Tall Dwarves to Icy Demons to a lot of local things like Supercluster, New Sound and Numbers, Pipes You See, Pipes You Don't. Put out the Olivia Tremor Control records. And bunch of other stuff.
Do you have any sort of philosophy on the music you make or put out or anything?
It just has to be real and interesting. It doesn't matter what genre, just music that hits me emotionally.
What venues have you played at?
Pretty much everywhere in Athens. Let's see, we played 40 Watt, Caledonia, Flicker, Theater, Little Kings, The Farm, Tasty World, even, outdoor places like Orange Twin and behind the Daily Groceries and stuff.
Are there houses that you have played in?
Oh yeah, and Secret Squirrel as well, and just various house parties around town.
Was that always a common thing?
Yeah, house parties have been going on in Athens for a long time. Olivia, I remember playing a basement at one point. Yeah, there's always been a lot of interesting stuff going on besides the normal venues.
Has it been the same houses usually, or are they different ones as people move?
Different ones all around town, really, and I remember we did a lot of recording at the house across from Taco Stand on Millage, which I heard the B-52s maybe played their first show at, with Pylon. We recorded this, actually, the Olivia Trump Control Black Swan Network tour, 12-inch. We recorded that there.
Has a lot of the recording or anything like that, has it been like DIY, like in a house or something like that for the longest time? Or have there always been like record labels to do stuff too?
Olivia Tremor Control usually does our own. We do our own recording. For Dusk at Cuba's Castle, we took a lot of 4-track tapes to Denver and worked with Robert Schneider on assembling that album. And a lot of Will songs were taken directly from the 4-track tape, then overdubbed on the 8-track there. And a lot of Bill songs were started over on the 8-track there. For Black Foliage, we did a lot of recording here in Athens. There was a machine shop that we were renting out over on Oconee Street that we did a lot of recording in. Then we actually mixed it in Jeff Mangum's bedroom over on Grady Avenue. And we did a little mixing for that record as well with Robert in Denver, but the final mix was done here in Athens.
Besides like recording and things like that, has the music in general changed? Like, has it moved from one type of music predominantly to another?
When we first came to town, we were kind of, when Olivia Tremor Control first started getting known, there was grunge music was really popular, and a lot of heavier, mathier kind of things were also big in town. The people we met that were doing similar things to us with recording 4-track stuff like Elf Power, and BP Helium was playing in an XTC cover band. Kevin Barnes from Montreal was roommates with Bill and Will. We kind of started connecting with, and that eventually grew into them coming into the Elephant Six Collective, which had kind of started in Louisiana with Apples and Stereo, Nutrimic Hotel, and Olivia Tremor Control, and we kind of grew here in Athens and found people that were doing similar things to us. One thing that I like too about the current scene is that a lot of the younger bands that maybe moved here because they appreciated a lot of the things that had come before, being into Elephant Six stuff or being into REM or Pylon or things like that. They're all doing really interesting music that doesn't sound anything like any of these bands that came before. Like Bubbly Mommy Gun, some of those guys have said how much the Olivia records meant to them, but they don't sound anything like it. They're doing this weird space jazzy pop thing that's totally unique to itself. That's one thing that I really appreciate about a lot of the new music that's coming out in town.
One of the ways I think that a lot of people can be critical of Athens music is a lot of people when they come say that we don't really like try any hard and we're like a bunch of idiots and kazoos and stuff like that. But I mean, the city has shown that it produces like very popular music pretty consistently. So what do you think about all of that? Like it doesn't seem like people here might be trying hard, but they just consistently make very good music.
I think a lot of the bands in town aren't really worried about if they're going to be popular or not. They're just doing what they love and making interesting music, kind of in the same spirit as when we first started doing stuff. Elephant Six, we were making music for each other, and we knew it was like some of the best music in the world to us, and if the world wanted to pay attention, then that was great. If not, we would keep doing it for ourselves. I think a lot of the people in town are kind of follow that same line of thinking.
Do you think that the local scene is informed by like the bigger, greater strides in music, or is it like special kind of? I don't know.
I think there's all levels of. I think some of the bands I see are picking up influences from some of the more popular things that are out on the national or international level. But then there's some of my favorite bands are just doing stuff that is influenced by nothing but what they can do that's really special.
Do you think Athens is a really easy city to live in?
Yeah. It's a good town to a lot of people that I see moving here are able to find shows and stuff right away, and find that there's a pretty good support scene, going on for people playing with other people and supporting each other.
A lot of people, or maybe not a lot of people, but there are a number of people that come here for a period of time and maybe move to Atlanta or Nashville or New York or some other city, like a big city. But a lot of people also kind of stay here. So what do you think either keeps people here or causes people to leave?
I guess some people are just more of a wandering spirit, and some people like to make roots places. Yeah, I guess a lot of the people that leave too still can stay connected with a lot of the people here. I think that a lot of the friendships last, so that's a good thing.
Do you know a lot of people that have moved away that you keep in touch with?
Yeah, definitely. People that, like, Julian Coster doesn't live here all the time, but we stay in contact, where we'll probably end up playing music a lot in the future. But people sometimes have places they go to for a while and then end up coming back. It's a neat thing.
Okay,
Can't think of anything else.
cool.
Interviewers.
That sounds pretty good. It's pretty comprehensive.
Can you
Awesome.
think of anything else, John?
Anything that
Anything you want to say?
really
John?
want to say, or even kind of want to say?
Or don't want to say?
Let's see. Well, I guess it would be good if people that lived here didn't kind of take everything for granted that makes Athens so great. You know, the fact that there's so many interesting bands playing, there's a cool record shop, a cool independent movie theater, things like that. Those places might not exist if people don't support them. So, you know, it's good when you can to try to support, you know, a lot of the interesting stuff that's going on in town.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good note to end on.
Cool.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, no
Um,
problem.
I hope that didn't take too long.
No, that's
Thank you
cool.
for